and welcome to today's presentation, Play by the Rule. For anyone joining me for the first time, my name is Sultan Hassaniye. I'm a certified fraud examiner and I'm a certified anti-corruption manager. In short, I'm just an anti-corruption professional. I work on making fraud, corruption, ethics, and integrity more understandable, not just a legal concept that we just listen. We take real decisions, real risks, and real behaviors. I just simplify it for you. And I explain to you how it affects the organization and our society. Today, I'll be talking about anti-fraud and anti-corruption, but through football, since it's the World Cup season. Because fair play is one of the easiest ways to explain why rules, controls, accountability, and trust matters. So let's go. Let's start with a simple picture, and I need everyone to imagine the following. Imagine with me, you walk into a huge football stadium, the lights are on, crowds are excited, the cheers are high, and the players are ready to play, and the cameras are rolling. But there is one small problem. Imagine there's no field lines, there's no referees, there's this. At first, maybe the idea might be a little bit exciting. Yeah, no field lines, no referees, everyone can play the way they want. It's the idea of total freedom, where everyone can do whatever they want. But trust me, after a couple of minutes, what will happen is just total chaos. And that's the reality. The ball is mine, the team I want will win, the foul is not your foul, the player commits fouls, it's not considered, every goal becomes an argument, the winner becomes suspicious, etc. And this is exactly what happens inside our organizations. I'm talking in both public and private organizations. When ethics is just treated as a decoration, when rules are not clear and controls are weak and consequences are selective, people stop trusting the game. So today we're going to use football rules and use football to understand corruption and ethics in a very simple, practical way. Hopefully it's memorable for you. Because football teaches us something that's very powerful, that people do not only trust the score, people also trust the score when they trust the rules behind it. And that's also applicable in organization. Integrity is the field. Controls are the referees. Whistleblowers are the people who see what others miss. Leadership are coaches. And also we, employees, we are the players. So let's kick off this session today, this 1 hour session with one question. What makes any game worth trusting? I need everyone on the call now to share that they believe answering this question. What makes any game worth trusting? Sorry. Is it the rules? Is it fairness? What makes a game fair? I'll be waiting for your input over the chat box. Okay, I can see rules, fair play, rules. Yeah. Yes, rules. We can say transparency.
Yeah, independence of the referees.
Independence, 100%. Independence of the referees. Fair rules, 100%. I totally agree. You're missing something major, consequences. There should be consequences. If any player had some mistake, they need equality, 100%. Let me move forward. Thank you for sharing. Okay, why football? Because football makes unfairness visible. You do not need to be a lawyer, an auditor, or a compliance officer to understand the feeling of an unfair decision. Imagine with me a final match. The score is tied. The pressure is very high. And suddenly one team gets a penalty that everyone knows it is not a penalty. The referee does not review it. The VAR, or the video assisted referee, stays silent. They do not say that that's not a penalty. The crowd goes crazy and the losing team protests within the stadium. And even the penalty has been scored beautifully. Why do we feel that? because we know that the process is unfair. And I think many of you understand what I'm talking about since you're football fans. A lot of penalties were not fair. And like, no, that's not for them. It was our opportunity. And that's unfairness. We all feel it. So we can relate that to our organizations. How can we translate it to our organization? Imagine that we have tenders in our organizations that are awarded because someone has a hidden relationship. A payment was approved because a manager had the power, or a candidate was hired because just for his connection, not because of his competencies, or a supplier just wins because of a private benefit to one of the employees internally or the senior managers, not because of the quality of the products or the service they provide. On paper, everything may look official and nice, but for people, we looking at it, it feels kind of fishy. The process is not clean. Corruption does not only steal money. Keep that in your mind. Corruption does not only steal money, it steals confidence in the system, and that's major. And here, that's why football is such a strong metaphor, and that's why we built this webinar today, just to make it close to our understandings. Football has rules. Organizations need rules. Football has referees. Organization needs controls, needs internal controls. Football has team culture. Organization needs an ethical culture and a team culture. Football has consequences. Organizations need accountability to our organizations. And in both football and organizations, silence can protect all the wrong players. And this is what is not accepted. So today, within the slides, as we go through the slides, the upcoming slides, every slide will be talking about a rule of a match. And I will be asking several questions. And I'll be ending this slide with the one question. And I need you, which will trigger your imagination and your ideas. And I will try to have those questions at the end of each slide, kind of, just to trigger your awareness on how to fight corruption. Where do unfair decisions change the outcome in our work? Just think about it. Where does unfair decisions change the outcome in our work? If you think about it, you'll know the answer. And I think all of us had witnessed unfair decisions that affected our work directly and indirectly. Okay, moving forward. Before any serious match, let's look into a scoreboard that we always look in the field, in the football field. So every 2 years, the ACFE issues a report called the Report to the Nation, which I consider for me a scoreboard. You ask me, Sultan, what is ACFE's Report to the Nation? Well, it is a report that is issued by ACFE, as I mentioned, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners in USA, and it's a study, it's a statistical study based on 2,402 occupational fraud, as you can see on the screen, submitted by certified fraud examiners, CFE like me, and a lot on the call, and people that are willing to become certified fraud examiners, submitted by professionals, anti-fraud and anti-corruption professionals from 143 countries and territories, submitted to ACFE. They had combined all those statistics and information and analyzed them and came up with a report called the Report to the Nation that is very valuable for us to understand the impact of fraud on us. So today's statistic will all be based on the 2026, which was recently released by ACFE. All the statistics you see on the screen are based and mentioned in the ACFE Report to the Nation. Let me highlight here something. These cases cost more than 3.4, and I'm reading from the screen. These cases caused more than $3.4 billion of total losses. We're talking back for the past 2 years, 2024, 2025. The median loss per case was $104,000, with an average loss per case of around $1.5 million, as you can see. And the numbers that should stop us for a second is the one in big letter, in big number, the big number. Organizations, as you can see on the screen, estimated to lose 5% of revenues to fraud each year. Imagine 5% of the revenues that the organization generate as per the report
Sultan,
are lost due to fraud.
Sultan,
That's huge. Imagine
you're
with me.
cutting,
Yes,
Sultan,
Marijo.
you're cutting a little bit. يعني every two,
Oh,
3 minutes, you're cutting a little bit. I don't know if you can switch your internet connection. It's okay. It's not a big deal. But if you
okay,
feel
just give me
like,
a second.
okay, take your time.
Okay, let me turn off the video. 1 second.
We are in Lebanon, so
Okay. Can you hear me now clearly, Marijo?
yes. Now
Yes.
we can.
That's part of the corruption we're talking.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We
So
heard you
back to
before,
the
so
numbers.
yeah.
Yeah, back to the numbers. I was talking about the 5%. Imagine the total loss is 5% of the revenues every year for the organization. So in simple words, imagine a football club losing 5% of its players. Imagine losing 5% of the training budget. Imagine losing 5% of the stadium maintenance budget every season, every year. Not because of competition, but just because someone inside the club is manipulating, is playing games. Fraud is not just financial loss. It is a loss of salaries. It's the loss of services. It's the delayed projects. It's the damaged morale. It's the lost trust in the system. So this number speaks out loud. Those numbers are just reflecting the reality of fraud. And the question here is, what could your organization do with the value lost to fraud? What can we do with it? That's major. Moving forward, let's start with rule 1. In football, we have the touchline, and this is important. The ball is either inside or outside. We can debate many things in football, but when technology shows that the whole ball crossed the line, the decision is clear. It's outside. Ethics needs the same clarity in our organization. Gifts, and I'm reading from the screen, gifts and hospitality, conflict of interest, side agreements, personal use of asset, favoritism, nepotism, and undisclosed relationships all need clear boundaries. Those are crossing the line. This is unacceptable. It's outside the line. When the line is vague, people create their own interpretation of those lines. And when powerful people are allowed to create their own interpretation, the culture starts to collapse. I can see a lot of people nodding their head and understanding what I'm saying. And this is something I always fight. Just to raise awareness on this is important for me and for all of us. It's not only for me, it's something we all need to support. Let's think about the Enron scandal and the boundary story. What began as an aggressive business culture back in Enron and a clever financial engineering moved into a hidden debt, a misleading reporting, and a complete loss of trust. And the line did not disappear in one day. It took a lot of time, but at the end of the day, they were discovered. It was pushed and blurred and rationalized until people no longer had sowed the field. So good ethics system should make the lines visible before the pressure arrives. We need to have a gift policy in place. A gift policy should not only be there to be a piece of paper. A gift policy should not be discovered after the gift. A conflict policy should not be written after a tender. A travel policy should not be explained after a suspicious reimbursement. We need to take those policies and implement them and execute them in our everyday. The message is simple. A violation does not become acceptable because of a person in power. It's because of how we draw the lines and the boundaries. So imagine and ask yourself, which boundaries in your organization needs to be clear? Is it the gift policy? Is it the conflict policy? Is it the travel policy? Is it other aspects? Think about it. Moving forward, rule 2. Here we're talking about the conflict of interests and football contexts. Offsides. I think everyone is familiar with offside. Offside is one of the most debated rules in football, but the idea behind it is that the player should not gain any unfair positional advantage. And it's a simple concept. The player might not be might not have touched the ball yet, but the advantage already exists. And this is also applicable in organization and what is known as a conflict of interest. It works the same. It is not always corruption by itself, but having a relative who owns a supplier does not automatically make someone corrupt. The problem begins when the relationship is hidden, when the person who influences decision pretends that nothing happened and he's not in a relationship with this person. And here I would like to mention the FIFA corruption case, which had shook the football fans around the world. The heart of the scandal was not only money, it was that the idea of decision are connected to the game behind the game that could be influenced and the hidden benefits and the private interests that come behind it. When people suspect that the matches were already decided before the kickoff, the whole sport loses credibility. And this is what happened with FIFA. In organizations, ethical offside appears when someone awards work to relatives, when they push a vendor where they have private interest with, when they hire someone based on connections, not on merits, and approve suppliers who provide personal benefits. My response is just 3 words: disclose. I'm reading from the screen: disclose, rescue, and review. We need to disclose the relationship. We need to step away from such a decision. We need to rescue it. Third one, we need to allow an independent review. I need you to ask yourself, would an independent observer see that as an unfair advantage? Yes or no? Moving forward. Rule 3, do not touch what is not yours. In football, handball, or touching the ball, as we know it, the handball changes the flow of the game because a player uses something they are not allowed to use. This is football. This is not handball. We cannot play with our hands. So we cannot use something we're not allowed to use. The same thing happens when someone takes control of an organizational resource for personal benefit. The ACFE fraud tree, which is well known, divides fraud into 3 main occupational fraud categories. The first one is in green, the asset misappropriation. In blue, corruption. And the last one, the third one, it's the financial statement fraud. Asset misappropriation is one of the most common categories, and I think we're all aware of that because it's easy to use. This is where the fake expenses claim exist, the inflated invoices, the fuel misuse, the inventory theft, the cash theft, the manipulation of reimbursement appears over there. The amounts may look small at first, but repeating those small abuses become a system, and that's the problem. Let me here share with you a common story, which is I always share, and it also related. An employee travels for work and submits a hotel receipt. The receipt looks normal at first. The amount is not huge. No one questions this amount because it feels uncomfortable to question that employee. Why did he use this hotel? Why did he stay in this room? Why did he use the laundry? Why did he order in-dining food? Whatever. It feels uncomfortable to ask. But over time, this same employee, learning that nobody verifies and nobody checks behind them, nobody checks the dates, nobody compares the locations, nobody compares it to the work plan, this first fake receipt becomes a training session for the next fraud, for a bigger fraud, and for a more and more and more big scandal. And this is why small control weaknesses matter. People often say it's only fuel, it's only a meal, it's only a small invoice. Well, ethics is not that a small thing. Small touches can become big handballs as per football. So in rule 3, do not touch what is not yours. Moving forward, let's have some fun time and do some game. I'm gonna play with you a game of fair play. We're gonna be using yellow card, red card, or a play on. So I'll have a scenario on the screen, the one you have it on the screen. You decide either you play a yellow card, red one, or play on. You please write in the chat box yellow if you want to be yellow, as it's just a warning, a red card as it's major, a green like you don't care, we let it move on. So as per the scenario, imagine a procurement officer recommending a company owned by a relative but does not disclose the relationship. So what's your call on this? Is it a yellow, a red, or a green? I already see reds. Okay.
A lot of red.
I see a lot of reds. Anyone with a play on? Okay. Lots. Okay. It's all reds, it seems. No yellows? Okay. We're all team red, it seems. Okay. Thank you for participating. Let me clarify. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let me clarify. Here, let's dissect the scenario a little bit. The key issue is not only that the company is owned by a relative. The serious issue is that the relationship was not disclosed while the officer was influencing the decision. So in my opinion, the fair play response here should include disclosure and an independent review. It's two aspects. The organization should check whether the supplier was fairly selected, if the pricing and the quality were competitive, if any kind of confidential information was shared with the company, if the procurement officer benefited personally, so kind of investigation should be run there. So there are different aspects to look in before deciding if we can use a yellow red. For sure, it's not a play on. Maybe it's a yellow, maybe it's a red. If it's discovered early, in my opinion, if it's discovered early and there's no decision was made, for me, that's a yellow card with corrective actions. We need to take corrective actions. There are gap holes. That's why it happens. So I'll put a yellow card. In case the officer had hidden the relationship and influenced the award to this company and it was confirmed that he received the benefit, that's directly a red card. Can you see how we think about it? How we play the yellow red card thing? Okay. Let us take another scenario. I think now you know the drill. This scenario now is the following. The sales employee receives an expensive gift from the customer shortly before a contract renewal. Okay? A sales employee receives an expensive gift shortly before a contract renewal. What's your call on this? Okay, I'm seeing the answers. Red, yellow. I see yellow. Okay. If you wanna explain why, be happy also to see your perspective and your take on your choice of the card. Hopefully we don't have play on. Okay, I see a lot of reds. I think we have one yellow. Okay, reds. Lot of reds. Okay. Let me talk from an anti-corruption professional, as an internal audit, as a compliance, and I think we have our audience coming from such backgrounds: anti-corruption, internal audit, compliance, ethics, investigation. Facts matter for us. We need to ask, is there a gift policy? What was the value of the gift? Was it disclosed? Is the employee involved in pricing, renewal terms, discounts, credit approval, and taking service decisions? Is the customer trying to influence the outcome? So those are questions that we need to raise. This creates the appearance of the gift is intended influence reward. Okay, thank you, Dareen. Yeah, so we need to question, we need to ask ourselves those questions. So for me, if you take my opinion as Sultan, for me, this is usually at least a yellow card because the timing creates an influence risk. Okay? Keep this in mind. Timing creates an influence risk. Even if the employee says that the gift did not affect his decision, ethics is not only about actual influence, it's also about perceived influence. Let me repeat this point because it's major, because it's related to timing. Ethics is not only about actual influence, it's about perceived influence. So timing plays a major role. Ask yourself, if everyone could see this replay of the decision of whatever incident or whatever scenario, would the decision look clean? Yes or no? On that basis, I will play the yellow, red, or play on. Are you playing with me with the scenarios and understanding how we're linking football to corruption and fighting corruption? Okay. The practical response here is for sure disclosing the gift immediately, following the policy, returning it, transferring it according to the policy, removing the employee from the decision if needed. We have a lot of actions and decisions we can do. But the idea of the gift to be hidden and repeated and requested or connected to a favorable treatment, this makes the case more serious. And here we need to raise the red cards. Okay? We need to keep our eyes open because that's major. I think that the red card should be issued regardless. I agree, Rania. I agree, Dr. Rania. Okay, moving to rule 4, we're talking about corruption and how it manipulates the match. Let's talk about the whistle, okay? Dr. Rania had added, but the consequence depends on the policy, I would say. I do agree. I do agree. Once can the influence the gift was, yeah, I agree. Okay, let's move back to the slide. Rule 4, corruption manipulates the match. Let's talk about the whistle. In football, misconduct can be obvious. We're talking about fouling, we're talking about diving, or what's known as simulation. We're talking about time wasting within the game. So all that are kind of misconducts in a way or another, where players and coaches can manipulate the game before the whistle even blows. And that is what corruption does in our organization. A bribe is like paying the referee before the match. We have a kickback. It's like telling the defender to leave space for the striker. Let's take an example of a bid rigging. It's like arranging the final score before anyone enters the pitch. It's already finalized. That's the final score. That's corruption. And corruption is not normal competition. It is a manipulation of the conditions that decide who wins, and that's not acceptable. And here I would like to highlight the Siemens bribery scandal, which is a powerful one, where the company had faced major enforcement actions after the widespread bribery practices they had that was uncovered across different countries. This lesson, the lesson behind it is not only that bribery is illegal, and we all agree on that. It's a deeper lesson, is that corruption can make and can become a business model where leaders tolerate it and employees learn from it and controls fail to challenge it. And there is the biggest issue. As per ACFE, and I'm referring to ACFE's report, corruption is divided into the following, and I'm reading from the screen. It's misconducts that include bribery, or it's categorized, into the following: bribery, kickbacks, illegal gratuity, economic extortion, bid rigging, and hidden side agreements. And I invite everyone on the call to Google it and look more into the details of those major types of corruption. Moving forward, let's talk about the corruption score. I love to use numbers, and numbers speak out loud. And I'm referring again to those numbers that are extracted from the ACFE Report to the Nation 2026. Let's zoom specifically on corruption alone. According to ACFE 2026 report, corruption appeared in 45% of the reported occupational fraud cases, with a median corruption loss of $150,000, as you can see on the screen. For the Middle East and North Africa region case, and the report has a specific dedicated part and study for this region and many regions around the world, has showed that it's a most common scheme of 59%. So let's be careful here. This is not a reason to stereotype our regions or our cultures, because corruption is human. It's an organizational risk. It grows wherever power, pressure, opportunity, and weak accountability meets. So let me repeat: corruption is a human, and it's an organizational risk. It grows wherever power, pressure, opportunity, and weak accountability meets. So imagine a public project, or a company tender. On paper, it's a winning supplier offering the best value, but in reality, the score was influenced by a hidden relationship, a side payment, or a promised favor. The immediate loss may be an extra price, which we all see it, but the real damage is bigger than that. It's the poor service. It's the unsafe materials. It's the demotivated employees. It's the honest suppliers leaving the market because it's unfair, and the citizens and the customers losing trust in the system. So this is why corruption is so difficult to repair. Money can sometimes be recovered. Reputation takes much longer to be recovered. Culture takes even longer and longer time. And that's a challenge that myself I fight for and I try to raise awareness for, because raising awareness will help us all understand what kind of a disease we're facing. It's a real disease. It's a cancer. Let's ask ourselves, which consequence of corruption is hardest to repair? Is it the money? Is it the moral? Is it the reputation? Is it the competition? Or is it the public trust? Or is it all of them? I think you're all nodding. It's all of them. Moving forward, let's talk about referees. As you know, football games, we have referees. A football match does not rely on one person seeing everything. There is a referee, there is an assistant referee, and as you can see on the screen, in football, we have a referee, we have an assistant referee, we have a fourth official, and sometimes we have the use of the VAR, or what is known as the video assisted referee. And we also have disciplinary reviews after the match, if the match had something major. Why all that? The reason is very simple, because the game is fast. Human eyes sometimes miss things, and pressure sometimes is very real, and we cannot control things. That happens also in organizations. Organizations need the same referee teams. We're talking about management reviews. We're talking about SODs, or what's known as segregation of duties, financial controls, procurement controls, compliance, internal audit, external audit, whistleblowing channels. All of these play different roles in our organizations. Not single control is enough. We need a mix of all those controls, all to play an effective and efficient role. So we make sure everything's controlled, everything is kept an eye on. Within my professional years, I have always heard one interesting thing, and which I believe is dangerous, is dangerous, is really dangerous. I trust him or her. I've heard a lot of managers and CEOs and people I've met within my past years career. I trust X, I trust Y. Listen to me. Trust is important, but trust without control is not governance. Okay? Trust without control is not governance. Control are not an insult. They are protection for honest people. They protect the approver from pressure. They protect the finance team from manipulation. They protect employees from false accusations. They protect the organization from losses. So it's very simple. Okay? No one player can play everything. No one player can be a goalkeeper, at the same time a referee, at the same time a striker, at the same time a scoreboard operator. What would be the results? It wouldn't be reliable, isn't it? So let's ask ourselves, who is checking the decision and who's checking the checker? Okay? So everyone needs to monitor everyone. Everyone needs to keep an eye on everyone. Hopefully that triggered an aspect, and you can link it and relate it to a certain business aspect, and even life, personal aspect in our life. We can apply it in our personal lives. Rule 6, we're talking about the VAR, the video assisted referee. What's the purpose of that? It is important in all football games. It slows down the moment, it reviews the evidence, it detects what human eyes missed, as I've mentioned a while ago. In the organization, the football VAR is what's known as the data analytics. It plays the same role. Think of hundreds and thousands of transactions moving through the company every day. We're talking about payments, invoices, approvals, reimbursements, changes in accounts and customer accounts, payrolls, claims, journal entries, etc. Imagine there are thousands of posts and transactions. Can we monitor them all manually? A person reviewing manually will definitely be a challenging thing to catch a pattern. We will miss the pattern. And for me, data is oil. It's what all countries now are fighting for. So data analysis is everything. I think through data analysis, we can flag duplicate payments, repeated invoice amounts. We can understand trends. We can see what approval limits have been manipulated. We can see unusual spending patterns. We can see if same receipts has been used twice. Okay? So data analysis is major. It's our VAR. It is important for us. And here I would like to highlight the Wells Fargo fake account. And I think a lot of us are aware of this this scandal where Wells Fargo's sales department had created a lot of fake accounts internally. And because of many reasons. It's because of pressure and uh, creating fictitious accounts for their own targets. Such behavior, it's really sad to see. To be honest, because at that point of time we didn't have data patterns, we didn't have the data analytics. There was only pressure by management for the sales, so that's why they've done the fake accounts. But that puts us to question something important, to question ourselves, and take this organizational VAR and apply it. What does organizational VAR do to us? How it should be used? It should be used on a continuous monitoring. It should be for exceptional reports. It should be for targeted reviews. It should be for daily follow-up. Because VAR does not only work once, it should be and every day and a work in progress thing. It should be always done. We need to always monitor things. So let's ask ourselves, which transaction patterns would our organization review first to check? Is it the payments, because there are duplicate payments and there might be duplicate payments? Is there unusual transactions that needs to be checked? Is it weekend approvals? Oh, okay, there are approvals in the weekend. Why? We need to check. Data analytics will help us do that, okay? There are same bank accounts, there are same employees, there are ghost employees in the payroll, and there are hundreds of examples that I can share with you. Data analytics are our VAR. Please rely on data. Moving to rule number 7, and it's someone else may see what the referee misses. In football, I think the crowd sees a lot of things. The bench sees a lot also. And the assistants that are sitting on the bench also see things clearer than the referee on the field. In organizations, that's the same. People close to work often see things before management, before internal audit, before external audit, before external reviewers. And I think a lot of you are nodding their head and they are understanding what I'm talking about. We see a lot of weird things happening around us. We can see that something's questionable, something's fishy. As per ACFE report to the nation, report 2026, 43% of the fraud were detected by tips, okay? Tips were nearly 3 times more common as a detection method. And as per the report, more than half of the tips came from employees and customers and vendors. Okay, so that tells us something important. People are often the organization's strongest detection control. I'll repeat it. People are the organization's strongest detection control. Okay, but with a condition. There is a but. It's it's always there. You'll ask me, Sultan, what's the condition you're talking about? Well, people will share with you only if they trust the reporting system, okay? People not come to you and give you a tip that X have done some fraud in a way or another, unless they trust the reporting system. And here I'll bring the WorldCom scandal, where the internal audit department at that point of time was led by Cynthia Cooper, and her team had uncovered the improper accounting practices that were used at that point of time. And they discovered from a technical perspective and an accounting perspective, the major fraud transactions that were embedded within the system. But it's not about the technical accounting. It's more than that. It's about the games. It's about the hidden numbers. It's about the courage, the escalation, and the importance of people speaking up and refusing to ignore what does not make sense. So we always need to question. We need to always ask why, okay? A speak up channel should always be there, should be easy to find, safe to use, and trusted for reporting. If employees believe that reporting will lead to retaliation, they will never speak up. They will stay silent. If vendors think that nothing will happen, they will never help you. If customers cannot report anything and they don't have a channel for whatever they have faced as a fraud or whatever kind of issues they face, they cannot report it, the organization will lose the early warnings. And I always say something. Bad news is good news until you do something. So whatever you have bad news now, whatever information you receive now is good news for you, but you need to know it right now. And you need to make those reporting channels available for everyone, for all stakeholders. Okay? Moving forward. I'll give you, we're back to games and the scenario number 3. Imagine a manager asking finance to approve an urgent payment without supporting documents. Is this yellow, red, or green? Please share with me within the chat box your opinion or your take. What's your call in case a manager asks the finance to approve an urgent payment without any supporting document? I see a lot of reds. I totally agree. Okay, a lot of reds. I agree, 100%. Okay, I'll not move into.
We have green depending on the case.
It's never a green. We can debate that later. You can reach out to me later and we'll see why did you say green. Okay, approving a payment. Okay, interesting answers. Okay, I'll give you one more scenario. Thank you for answering. One more scenario, one last scenario for today. Imagine an employee noticing fake receipts, but remains silent because it's not my problem. Okay, what do you consider this? You consider it as a yellow, as a red, or it's a play on? Okay, reds. I don't see yellows. Is it a yellow? Okay, Salah says a yellow.
We have
Depends
one
on the
yellow.
employee.
Two yellows.
It really depends on employee. Interesting. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'll be explaining this in a bit. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay. Okay, because many people understand the feeling, which is it's not my problem. They do not want conflict. They do not want to be labeled difficult. They don't want management to think anything bad about them. They think, yeah, the amount is small, just let's ignore it. They think the reporting it might create an issue. So let's just move on and ignore that. But the truth is that silence protects the wrong player. Fake receipts are not only an expense issue, it's a culture issue for me. Okay? Fake receipts, okay, maybe it's a $10, $20, whatever amount it is. It's not an expense issue. It's a culture issue. If one person sees a fake receipt and stays silent, another person will learn that the team accepts it. And here's the issue. Over time, small dishonesty becomes normal and becomes the norm. And this does not mean that employee must become a detective. No, but they shouldn't stay silent on that. The right response is to use the available reporting channels. We need to inform the appropriate managers. We need to inform compliance, HR, internal audit. We need to use the whistleblowing mechanism if they exist. We need to provide facts without exaggeration, with good intentions, for sure. The organization must then protect the reporter and investigate professionally when reported. This is important. This scenario is usually, for me, a yellow card. If I'm an observer, okay? But it's a red card if I am the one who's submitting the documents, okay? So it's depending on what's between my hands, depending on the evidence, and depending on the intent, okay? So I agree with a lot of yellows and reds. The core lesson here is that integrity is not only refusing to cheat. Integrity is refusing to become part of the crowd that watches cheating quietly, okay? We shouldn't be part of the crowd. No, we need to speak up. We need to voice what's wrong. Okay, I'll be moving faster as time is getting to an end. We're talking about yellow cards. Yellow cards are warning cards. Fraud risk is always there, okay? There are behavior red flags. We're talking about living beyond means. We're talking about financial difficulties. We're talking about relationship with vendors and customers. We're talking about control issues. 84% of fraudsters displayed at least one behavior red flag as per the ACFE. And there are a lot of things that the report had highlighted. if anyone interested, they can reach out to me after the session, and I can share with them the report to the nation if they are willing to learn more about those numbers and the information behind it. Moving with the red card. The red card is major, okay? We're talking here about the code of conduct. 68% of perpetrators in general have been terminated. 54% have been referred to law enforcement. 72% have been convicted, okay? Those numbers speak out loud. So there are always consequences. There is a red card. So this tells us that organization should use integrity, and integrity is not an option. And consequence must be there to be fair. A red card should be based on evidence for sure, not on emotions. We cannot just play red cards here and there because I don't like X and I don't like Y. No, we need to be professional. We play a red card when the consequence card when we have the evidence, when we have done investigations, when we are 100% sure of what happened. Okay? I'm moving faster just for the fact of time is passing. We're talking about added time. Time is a major thing in fraud, okay? Added time in matches, in football matches, is a game changer. And that's the same in fraud because it increases damage. As per the ACFE report, the typical fraud case lasts 12 months before it becomes detected. So imagine 12 months is a long time. 12 months of payments, approvals, fake documents, and a lot of things that's harder to be uncovered and recovered. That's major. So the earlier you know, the better. As I've mentioned a while ago, bad news is good news until you take action, and take action right away. Let me talk, and I would love to talk in detail and on this slide about governance. A football team cannot win with 11 strikers. It needs a goalkeeper, a defender, a midfielder, attacker, a captain, a coach, a bench, whatever. I'm reading from the screen. Each position has its own role. If one position is missing, the whole formulation becomes weak. Integrity works the same way in our organization. Senior management sets the direction, the board provides the oversight, the procurement designs the sourcing, the finance validates the payment, the HR do background checks, checks the culture, compliance explains the rules, legal protects the process, internal audit, like many of us on the call, checks whether the controls are working, play assurance, employees report concerns, speaking up channels, carry a warning signal. All those elements that I've just mentioned are important. They are part of the governance health. A healthy governance is including all those aspects. Anti-corruption is not the responsibility of one department. It's not only audit, it's not only HR, it's not only compliance, it's everyone's job. Corruption finds space between responsibilities. Everyone on the call, please remember that. Corruption finds space between responsibilities. A strong governance formation should answer the following question. Who prevents the risk? Who detects the risk? Who responds to the risk? If you answer those questions, you'll see that your governance is healthy. So the team in place, the elements all together, working together will help fight corruption, will help fight fraud. So you don't depend on one person, on one department. You depend on the system. You depend on roles. You depend on discipline. Okay? I'll be moving forward as time is coming to an end. I need to highlight this important slide about training. We're talking about an important aspect for me, and it's major: training, education. No serious football team waits until the final comes to practice. They need to practice every day. They need to practice penalties. They need to train before pressure arrives. And that's applicable in our organizations, okay? We need to train our employees and managers. I'll give you some numbers from the ACFE report. Employees with training had a median loss of $84,000, whereas without training, there was a loss of $150,000, 44% lower. Imagine that. There's a purpose of training. It's not only a tick box. It's not only a policy, a PDF that we share once a year for our employees. Training should help people recognize red flags, handle conflicts, use reporting channels, respond to pressure, understand whom to ask, what to ask, okay? And the best training, in my opinion, is real scenarios. Giving them real scenarios will help them relate and translate this PDF or this policy, written policy, into real examples. People will remember stories, not definitions on policies, okay? So make sure you train your employees on all levels. It's not only employees, but managers, seniors, executives, okay? Last but not least, I'll be talking so fast as time is moving on fast. Unfortunately, we're talking about the coach, we're talking about the leadership. The coach sets the strategy, the captain sets the emotional tone. It's the tone at the top, okay? Whatever they do, whatever the tone at the top executes, we see as employees. Employees follow what leaders tolerate, not only what leaders say. So the tone at the top is not just a poster, it's a daily behavior, okay? So here I also need to mention the Wells Fargo fake account scandal again, where the culture and pressure was devastating at that point of time. The targets, incentives, leadership pressure, pushing people towards wrong behaviors until the misconduct happened. So unfortunately, this is one of the major scandals in our recent history. So ethical leadership is important. We need to be making sure that what leaders tolerate becomes the real rule book. If they tolerate fraud, that would be the case, okay? We need to have a zero tolerance towards fraud. Last but not least, the final whistle for today. Let me recap for you today's match. Keep in your mind a couple of ideas that I'm gonna share with you. Rules protect fairness, controls protect trust, tips detect fraud, training create awareness, red flags require attention, consequence create accountability, and last but not least, integrity is everyone's responsibility, okay? Fraud and corruption is not only statistics, it's real decisions, it's hidden relationships, it's one fake receipt that started at that hotel place, it's one manager doing exception, it's one silent witness, but it builds up, okay? We need to keep an eye. It can destroy our trust, our morale, our reputation, and this is not good. So before making any decision, let's do the replay test and ask ourselves, would this be fair if everyone could see the replay? Yes or no? Thank you for your time and for your attention. Please feel free to follow me on social media. Listen to my podcast, Let's Talk Fraud, from wherever you get the podcast. And thank you, ACFE Lebanon, for the opportunity.